Eclipse season opens up with a powerful and life-altering lunar eclipse in Pisces on Sunday, September 7th. Opposing Mercury and trining Jupiter, this eclipse invites you to release the need for hard facts, trust that the universe has your back, and watch your dreams come true. Let's take a closer look and break it down for all 12 signs. My name is Anastasia. I'm a traditional Western astrologer specializing in natal, relationship, predictive readings. If you're new here, welcome. If you enjoy my work, please leave me a like, a comment, subscribe, press the notification bell, show your support by buying me a gift, a coffee, a tea, a croissant. I appreciate all of that, even if all you can do presently is leave me a happy comment or send a happy thought. Before we dive in, I am teaching a course titled Natal Astrology Blueprint of the Soul. It begins on September 6th, and in 3 months you will learn to read natal charts. You will learn to understand your karmic imprint and improve your relationships through knowing astrology. It is the perfect time with Jupiter transiting Cancer to invest in yourself and to gain an unfair advantage in life by speaking the language of planets and the stars. Planets, zodiac signs, houses, aspects, everything that is locked in the natal chart. You can register at anastasiadoesastrology.com. On there, you can also book a personal reading. You can check out my offerings. There are natal, which are more general predictive readings, such as year ahead, or solar return, best done around your birthday. I do relationship consultations. I can help you figure out which place in the world is best for you, as well as help you elect the appropriate, perfect moment for your important event. Additionally, on my website, you can find candles, oils, notebooks that I create. Today, we're talking about the lunar eclipse in Pisces, and in general, eclipse season tends to be a pretty emotional time, unstable, when we don't have much control over things that are happening to us. It's the time of karmic ripening. So today I'd like to highlight 2 of my candles. There is this Exalted Moon and Moon in Cancer 3. Moon in Cancer 3 is the best seller. It sells out every time I make it, but Exalted Moon is close second. Both of these capture the moon in a strong sign, Moon in Cancer, as it says in the name, Moon in rulership in Cancer, while Exalted Moon captures the moon in Taurus. Both are really good for manifestation, can improve your sleep, your emotional well-being, fertility, your relationships with women. I love these as a source of emotional support during this time, and I would recommend that you get it based on the scent that you like. Moon in Cancer 3 smells like moonflower nectar, so it has a sweet, flowery scent. I really like it. And Exalted Moon smells like clean cotton. So if you enjoy the smell of clean laundry, that is a good scent for you. And especially recommend this for people born with their moon in Scorpio or Capricorn, which are the signs where the moon struggles more than others. So we're talking about the lunar eclipse in Pisces. Like I said, it happens on Sunday, September 7th. And generally, eclipses are times of, like I said, karmic rebalancing, karmic reckoning, if you'd like. Lunar eclipse happens when Earth blocks some of the solar light from reaching the moon. So we're supposed to have a full moon, but Earth comes in between the sun and the moon and creates a shadow, right? The shadow falls of the moon on the moon, darkening the lunar's face. And eclipses back in the days were always feared, and a lot of important things would happen around eclipses. There would be revolutions and kings that are crowned and kings that are thrown off their pedestal, so to speak. So it's the time, it is the time of major changes, release, and endings. We don't always know what happens, what the eclipse means when we're right in it. We might feel like important things are happening, but it may be between 3 to 6 weeks after the eclipse has passed for us to understand what it has brought, right? Or what did it eclipse out of our life? Eclipses come in cycles. We get 2 pairs of eclipses every 6 months, and it takes them about a year and a half to slowly move through a pair of zodiac signs. There presently, we have North Node in Pisces and South Node in Virgo. So this is a North Node eclipse, and North Node is the head of the dragon in Indian astrology. It is a karmic point. It's not an actual planet or an asteroid or anything like that. It's connected to these crossings, to these eclipses happening. So when they're happening in specific pairs of zodiac signs, that's where the South Node and North Node are. And North Node has this hungry, materially driven energy, tends to grow and increase, and it has this kind of high volume that is connected to North Node. So when the eclipse happens in the sign of the North Node, there's more focus on like tangible material development, and also the focus on this sign is a lot stronger. So we've been in the Virgo Pisces nodal chapter since the start of 2025, and we've had the first eclipse in Pisces in September 2024. And so with South Node in Virgo, we're actually actively working on letting go Virgo qualities, such as negative qualities especially, such as criticism, perfectionism, analysis paralysis, insane workaholic tendencies. And we're moving with that North Node in Pisces, with strong volume of Pisces being present right now, towards creativity, towards slowing down and resting and letting things go. So like I said in the beginning of this video, I think there is a pull to release the need for perfection, the need for hard facts and like knowing everything, and we're moving towards trusting in the universe and connecting with our spirituality, our creativity, also finding purpose and meaning. So a couple of things about this specific eclipse. It happens at 2 p.m. 12 minutes, 2:12 p.m., 14:12 p.m. Eastern Time on Sunday, September 7th. So adjust it accordingly for your time zone. And it occurs at 15 degrees 24 minutes Pisces. So if you have planets between 12 and 18 degrees, if you look at your chart, and if you want to understand your chart and these degrees and all of this better, consider joining my course. There's still spots left, and it begins very soon. Don't miss on an opportunity to study astrology with me. So planets, your ascendant, descendant, midheaven IC, your nodes, between 12, 18 degrees mutable signs, which is of course Pisces, but also Virgo, Gemini, and Sagittarius. Pay special attention to this eclipse in that case if you have planets, angles, points between 12 and 18 degrees. So we've had an eclipse in Pisces already. In this cycle, we only get lunar eclipses in Pisces, which I think is fascinating in itself, because Pisces is the last sign of the zodiac. So it is, being the last sign, it always, not always, but often is connected to the qualities of wisdom and spirituality and connecting to something beyond, right? So the fact that we're having lunar eclipses which are all about like turning and pivoting and transforming, kind of makes sense. So we've had a lunar eclipse in Pisces on September 17th, 2024. What do you remember? What was happening in your life? And as you listen to the rising sign horoscope, or if you listen to your sun or moon, try to again reflect back and think on what was happening in your life. If you want to take it even further, look at 2006, 2007, which is when the nodes were last in the same positions, when the North Node was in Pisces and South Node was in Virgo. Useful opportunity to do some reflection and perhaps learn some things. The eclipse trines Jupiter in Cancer, which is positive for two reasons. Number one is Jupiter in Cancer rules the eclipse, and it's a strong planet of growth and coherence and stability. So Jupiter in Cancer is focused on uniting things and finding meaning and purpose. And again, there is this strong sort of energy of like taking the goods and reinvesting them in yourself. That's why I mentioned Jupiter in Cancer transit is a good period for studying astrology. And the second reason is, so I lost it. So Jupiter trine. So one thing is that Jupiter rules Pisces, right? And that is having a strong ruler is supportive. And the second thing is the trine is of Jupiterian nature already. And so trining Jupiter promises good luck, intuition, and emotional stability, I think. So it is a good time to trust your intuition and to lean into your wisdom that Jupiter in Cancer will remind you that you possess. There is an opposition to Mercury in Virgo. So again, it's kind of emphasizing Virgo's desire for hard facts and having, the plan and sticking to an agenda versus Piscean energy of going with the flow and believing into things and dreaming them into existence. Of course, you first have to dream things into existence and then you have to work on making them happen. So we're trying to find a good balance here. And there is this opportunity to slow down with this eclipse, to listen to yourself, to rest. We've had a new moon in Pisces in February, late February 2025. So that's another point to look back at to see maybe you've started working on a dream that is now coming to reality. Like for me, for example, I have started planning my course and now it's about to begin. It begins the day before the eclipse. So how exciting. If you want to sign up, if you want to book a reading, check out my website, anastasiadoesastrology.com, and let's take a look at the 12 rising signs, starting with Aries rising. If you are in Aries rising, the eclipse happens in your 12th house. And a couple of questions for you. Take a look back at 2006, 2007, what was happening in your life. And the second, take a look back at the lunar eclipse in Pisces we've had in September 2025. There will be one more, the final one, in August 2027. Sorry, the first one was September 2024, and the final one will be in August 2026. So what was happening here? We're looking at your house of spirituality, mental health, hidden blocks and obstacles and bad habits. And so the eclipse illuminates your blind spot, and it illuminates everything that doesn't serve you, that is connected to you, or maybe is connected to your relationships with other people. So it can bring more awareness, it can bring clarity, it can bring understanding of your subconscious problems and patterns, and an opportunity to let that go. For some of you, you're maybe going within and connecting with something spiritual, connecting with a new calling, a new passion, maybe also choosing rest over working really hard, right? Letting go of a job because you are either consciously tired of it or subconsciously it's affecting your physical health, maybe with the eclipse opposite Mercury in the 6th house, and the situation arises where the job is no more and it feels frustrating, but it could be it could be this opportunity to like clear space, right? Lunar eclipse, being the full moon, is very much about transformation and pivot. And in the 12th house, in a trine to Jupiter in the 4th, it may suggest that it's time for you to move and go to a different place. Maybe it suggests that your inner comfort is at stake here, and Jupiter in the 4th is really urging you to slow down, or to spend time with family, or start your own family, right? There might be an important focus on setting things afloat and saying goodbye to, on one hand, bad patterns, negative habits, but then on the other hand, some parts of your life that do not serve you anymore. And take a look back at 2006, 2007. Take a look back at the lunar eclipse, the first eclipse we've had in Pisces in September 2024. If you're ready to invest in yourself and gain an unfair advantage in life, join my Natal Astrology Blueprint of the Soul course. It begins on September 6th, very, very soon. And in 3 months, you will learn to read charts and connect with yourself and people in your life like you've never connected with them before. If you are a Taurus rising, there is a lunar eclipse in your 11th house. So here we're looking at your connection with your community and your role in the world, right? We've had Saturn here for a while, since 2023. So you've maybe said goodbye to some friendships and relationships. You maybe have connected with some calling and purpose. You maybe have set better boundaries. And so the lunar eclipse in the 11th is ultimately asking you, what do you want to be known for? What do you want to be remembered as, or like? How do you want to be remembered? We've had North Node in Pisces the last time in 2006, 2007. So what was happening in your friendships, in your social life, in your role in the collective. Maybe even you've experienced new dreams coming true or being conceived. And we've had the first lunar eclipse in Pisces in September 2024. We're going to have the third one in August 2026, and this is the midpoint. So all good dates to reflect on. Some of the possibilities with this eclipse, it can also involve a change of your role in the world. It has that spiritual, Piscean, magical, dreamy energy, right? So committing to being a shaman, a guru, a guide, a Reiki teacher, a healer. There is a trine to Jupiter in the 3rd house, and Jupiter rules this eclipse in traditional astrology as a ruler of Pisces. So it highlights your skills, it highlights your business, it highlights your immediate environment and the knowledge you have. So it's almost like you don't have to go far. You just have to look around you and within you to see things that you already like to do. I read this book that I sort of hated at the end, but there was a really interesting line. The book is called The Covenant of Water. Maybe you read it, maybe you loved it. It's all very subjective. But there was a line there that you have to choose work not because of money. You have to do work that you love, because then, we've heard this before, right? Because then you don't spend a single day in your life working. You're just enjoying what you're doing. And so similar energy here, right? How can you transform your friendships, your role in the world, your social network, even your social media, right? In order to reflect who you are better. There is an opposition to Mercury in the 5th house, so you're kind of having to deal with maybe some matters involving relationships, children, some responsibilities, some facts on balancing your dreams with those facts. But I'm very curious if you remember 2006, 2007, and if you remember what was happening in September in terms of the things that I have mentioned. Do let me know. And for more, you can register for my Natal Astrology course, learn astrology, gain an unfair advantage in life by interpreting charts, and being more self-clear, self-aware, and improving your relationships in the process, because you can just look at someone's chart and you'll be like, yep, I know you, I see you. You can register on my website. You can also book a reading on there. If you are a Gemini rising, there's a lunar eclipse in your professional sector, your 10th house. This is significant. We've had Saturn, the planet of hard work and responsibility, be in your career sector since 2023. Maybe it revealed things to you. Maybe you've realized that you're on the wrong path, or you've realized that you have a path, but you need to commit to it. You need to learn. You need to work. And so this eclipse encourages professional growth, right? But it also says that before you get your dreams come true, you may need to set something aside. You may need to let something go. So lunar eclipse in the 10th house can be very much quitting a job, letting go of a job, investing, maybe like transforming your business somehow, making important changes to what you do. What was happening in your life in 2006, 2007, which is the last time North Node would have been in Pisces? Additionally, what was happening in your life just a year ago in September 2024, when we had the first lunar eclipse in Pisces of this 18 months long cycle? So the good news is eclipse trines Jupiter in the 2nd house, and it's also ruled by Jupiter in your 2nd house. And you're either feeling rewarded for the work that you're doing, or you're feeling financially more stable and secure to take a leap, to make a change. Jupiter in the 2nd house might also encourage you to make your own money, to go off on a new adventure, to start a new line of work potentially. And then there's an opposition to Mercury in the 4th. So on some level, you're having to silence the negative voice, the critical voice, the voice that likes to tear everything apart, and have a plan, and maybe take a leap and work on trusting and dive in. If you're ready to dive in and you're craving more, register for my Natal Astrology Blueprint of the Soul course. It begins September 6th, and it will introduce you to astrology, helping you read charts, helping you create a more self-aware and fulfilling life. You can find more information on my website. You can also book a reading and pick up one of the lovely candles on there. If you are a lovely Cancer rising, there is a lunar eclipse in your 9th house, the domain of travel, education, faith, religion. And the lunar eclipse is usually the time of karmic rebalancing. It's the time of letting things go, setting things apart. And if we're looking at the 9th house, it's traditionally been the house of long journeys and the house where the sun rejoices. So the sun has to do with identity, 9th house has to do with beliefs and faith on many levels, right? So this eclipse might suggest a crisis of faith. It may suggest the transformation of a belief system. And this could be big or small. This could be connected to your path in life and maybe figuring out what you want to do, or it could be connected to your diet, your relationships, even your political perspective, right? Or the books that you're reading. It could be very interesting. There could be transformations around education, as in graduating, finishing a course of study, as maybe it feels a little scary. We've had the first eclipse of the series in Pisces in September 2024. We're going to have one more in August 2026. So what was happening in your life last September? If you want to look even further, what was happening in your life in 2006, 2007, because every 19 years the cycle repeats, and we are currently in the repeat of that cycle. So letting go of a role of a student and becoming a teacher, letting go of a role of an employee and becoming a student because you want to gain knowledge and experience. If you want to gain astrological knowledge, join my course. Begins September 6th. It's called Natal Astrology, Blueprint of the Soul. And it will introduce you to you, the most important person in your life, in a brand new way through the lens of astrology, helping you gain clarity and improve your life, improve your relationships. So moving is also possible here, relocating. There is an opposition to Mercury in Virgo in your third house, so you're having to deal with the big vision versus logistics, and versus the voice that needs to have a plan and be clear about everything. And of course, the lunar eclipse invites you to trust and to believe and to take a dive and go for it. What I like is the fact that the eclipse is ruled by Jupiter currently in your first house, blessing you and protecting you. And there is a trine to this Jupiter from the eclipse as well, which offers good luck and encourages you to trust your intuition. And there's also a sense of hope and optimism and belief that things will get better, that things can improve and they can transform. And there's also this strong suggestion that it's time for you to be true to yourself, that it's time to be honest and unapologetically yourself on some level. So what is it that your heart desires? Do let me know if you're ready to take your astrological knowledge to the next level, register for my course, or book a personal reading. Highly recommend the Moon in Cancer 3 candle for you guys, as it works with your chart perfectly. All of that is at anastasiadoesastrology.com. If you are a Leo rising, there's a lunar eclipse in your 8th house. And 8th house has to do with the good fortune others bestow on us, the gifts that others bestow on us, their resources, their money, interactions we go through when we deal with other people, negotiate with other people. It also has to do with death and rebirth and spiritual questions oftentimes. It can be a bit unpredictable house where we deal with death and mortality and our fears and our insecurities. And a lot of times, why is it the house of shared resources? A lot of times sharing with other people can initiate a little bit of that fearful energy and encourage death and rebirth, right? When you get married, you die as a single person to the tax institution and you become a married person. So the lunar eclipse in Pisces suggests that you are paying off debts, both financially, literally, but also maybe some karmic debts. You're maybe processing pain and loss and death. And on some level, it can result in you, let's say, getting an inheritance. So the lunar eclipse can literally bring a bonus or some kind of financial development. But on the other hand, there is a lot that goes behind the scenes, and there is a lot of emotional turmoil that may happen with losing someone. Yeah, so it could be quite healing. It could suggest that there is a change in the financial sector as you pay off a debt, or a change in your partner's finances, a change in your relationship with your partner. Getting married, getting engaged is all possible here. Also having your roles in the relationship transform, right? Like where maybe you've depended on your partner and now you become the primary breadwinner because you got a payment, you got a salary raise, a raise. Or it's the opposite, right? Maybe you've been the primary breadwinner, but then something happens and now you have to rely on your partner. So it's a very interesting house. It's all about these exchanges we experience, exchanges we have with other people, and opportunities to set things aside, let sort of beliefs and fears go. What's interesting is the eclipse opposes Mercury in Virgo in your second house. So very much feels like having to maybe balance and maybe be a bit more flexible, because having Virgo in your second house, you can be very savvy financially and very much like, I need to balance my finances, I need to be organized, I need to be focused. And like the lunar eclipse in Pisces could be about like, well, but sometimes you don't need to do that. Sometimes you got to trust that things will work out, right? And maybe trust your intuition. I like that the eclipse is ruled by Jupiter in the sign of its exaltation Cancer, and that it trines this Jupiter in the 12th house, which suggests that you are supported. It may be literal support. Somebody helps you pay off a debt. Or it could be a bit more spiritual, just a sense that things will work out and things will get better, because Jupiter has that hopeful, supportive energy. And there's also another way this can manifest as like a spiritual awakening, I think, because 8th house deals with mysteries and hidden things, and Jupiter in the 12th house also encourages you to tap into the unknown, to connect with the universe on a different level. If you're ready to connect with the universe on a different level, register for my natal astrology course. It begins September 6th, and it will teach you how to read charts, how to be more self-aware, and how to use astrology to gain an unfair advantage in life. You can register on my website. One last thing, Leo risings, take a look back at 2006, 2007, which is the last time we've had North Node in Pisces, and also September 2024, when we had the first lunar eclipse in Pisces of this series. We're currently in the middle of the series because the final eclipse in Pisces will happen in August 2026. So yeah, for more, visit my website, register for my course, or book a reading. If you are a Virgo rising, there's a lunar eclipse in your 7th house, the domain of relationships, partnerships, contracts, and agreements. Eclipses are big, powerful times of change. So the change can affect your business, it can affect your relationship, or it can affect your partner. So with the business, right, the lunar eclipse might suggest an important transformation in business. Maybe you're letting go of an office, or you're letting go of a business partner. Maybe you're taking a risk and actually starting a business after thinking about it for a while. When it comes to a relationship, lunar eclipse is also quite powerful in a sense that it can bring an ending to a relationship that is barely hanging on, and you feel deep in your heart that it's not meant to last. Or it can mean an important development in an existing relationship, getting engaged, getting married, moving in together, having a child, seeing a child go to college, right? And then the partner, in the life of the partner, it can also bring important developments in their life. Maybe you're seeing them succeed or them have their dreams come true. And of course, needing to balance your personal goals, your maybe need for facts, and your analytical nature with the eclipse in opposition to Mercury and Virgo in your first house. But I do generally like the energy of this eclipse because it is ruled by Jupiter, and it trines Jupiter in the sign of its exaltation in your 11th house, in its house joy. So there is like quite a few supportive aspects or supportive points to this eclipse. So with the trine to Jupiter, there could be support of friends and allies. There could be, like, if we're talking of a business, right, your social media account is growing, you're reaching for the stars, you're meeting the right associates and things like that. So it's a good time to take action. Take a look back at 2006, 2007. Let me know if you remember what was happening in your relationships back then. That's the last time we've had North Node in Pisces. And take a look at September 2024, because we've had the first eclipse of the series in Pisces in September 2024, and this is the middle. And then another one comes in August 2026. So I'd be curious to hear what you remember. And if you want to take your love for astrology to the next level, register for my Natal Astrology Blueprint of the Soul course. It begins on the 6th of September. And what a great time with South Node being in your first house to commit to your spiritual growth, to learn to speak the language of astrology, and to improve your life and relationships in the process. Register at anastasiadoesastrology.com or book a personal reading on there. If you are a Libra rising, there's a lunar eclipse in your 6th house, the house of work, health, service, blood, sweat, and tears, and let's not forget your pets. So the lunar eclipse here heralds change in your professional life. It could be a release of something that feels draining and difficult, and some type of transformation, right? The eclipse is ruled by Jupiter in your 10th house of career, and it trines this Jupiter. So you're beginning new adventures. You may be studying astrology with me. My course begins on September 6th. Sign up. Or you are teaching. I mean, like, I'm teaching. So, or, you know, you're starting to work for a bigger company, or you're starting your own business. There may be, even though lunar eclipse is about endings, what is ending is actually the grind, I think. And maybe even some work celebration is in order because you've been working on something, you've been pushing the boulder up the mountain and sweating in the process and seeing blood and what are they called? What are the calluses on your fingers, right? And this lunar eclipse is the time you're actually celebrating. Health-wise, there might be changes to quitting a bad habit, seeing a health issue resolve, right? Seeing a family member or a loved one go through a health transformation. Getting a pet or letting go of a pet, mourning a pet is another possibility here. Take a look back at 2006, 2007, which is the last time we've had North Node in Pisces. And take a look at September 2024 when we had the first eclipse of this series in Pisces. The second one is right now, and the third one will be here in August. So it's August 2026. So it's like a 3-part storyline. Let me know how this resonates, and if you're ready to take your love for astrology to the next level, if you want to learn more, register on my website. Improve your life by gaining an unfair advantage and committing to yourself, the most important person. Sorry, I got distracted a little bit. My course begins on September 6th, and you can still register and claim your spot. You can also book a reading or get one of my lovely Cancer candles. Moon in Cancer is great for your professional life, 100%. So, if you are a Scorpio rising, the eclipse is happening in your 5th house. So, with the 5th house, we're talking about changes, transformations around romance, pleasure, children, a change in terms of what you enjoy doing. With the opposition to Mercury in your 11th house, there could be a sense of tension between what other people think you should be doing, or even what your mind is telling you is rational and proper versus what you want to be doing. And this can show up in deciding to stay at home and spend time with your child, or starting a business where maybe you are owning a sex shop. Or it could show up in your romantic life where you're opening yourself up to a new type of pleasure, a new type of joy, a new type of love life, right? Romantically, I can see this as an ending of a relationship if you feel like it's difficult for you and you're not enjoying it anymore. Or transforming a relationship, taking it to the next level. committing, right? Making a relationship more serious. Maybe you're done being single if you've been single. Maybe you're choosing to commit to dating and kind of putting yourself out there more. Maybe there's a change in the life of your child. Your child is going to school or they're leaving home, right? Maybe your life is changing and opening up on some level by letting something go. Creatively, completing a creative chapter, discovering a new passion, learning new things. There is a trine to Jupiter in the 9th house, which also rules this eclipse. And so it connects your pleasure to knowledge. So studying, if you want to learn more about astrology, my course begins September 6th, and it's a great time to study with Jupiter, especially Jupiter in your house of education for the next 10 months or so, 9 months, for a while. So you're maybe studying, you're maybe traveling, you're maybe even discovering some kind of passion like reading or a religious interest, something like that. But again, it's very much about you. What brings you joy? What brings you joy, right? Maybe it's getting a plastic surgery. Maybe it's getting a couch that costs $2,000. It's like, what is it for you? Take a look back at 2006, 2007, the last time we've had North Node in Pisces, and September last year, 2024, when we had the first lunar eclipse in Pisces. This is the second, and there's going to be the last one in August 2026. So all of this could be telling you the same storyline. And again, it's all about what brings you joy. What is your personal pleasure? To register for my course or to book a personal reading, visit anastasiadoesastrology.com. If you are a Sagittarius rising, the lunar eclipse in Pisces highlights your 4th house of home, family, comfort, and security, bringing important changes into this sector of your life. Some possibilities might involve moving and changing your living situation, relocating from an apartment to a house, from a house to an apartment, from one city to another. There may be important developments in the lives of family members, somebody getting married, somebody passing away. If there is a family member that is not doing well, you most likely already know it, so don't be afraid. And maybe you're investing into something with the eclipse trining and being ruled by Jupiter in the 8th house. Either you're making an investment in real estate or something else as well, or there's also some kind of payment support. Maybe you're paying off a mortgage, finishing paying off a mortgage, or a family member offers you a generous donation to help you pay something off or to buy your first property. The North Node being in Pisces definitely draws a lot of attention to the sector of your roots as well as to your sector of comfort and security, right? 4th house is not only about your home, but it's about what makes you feel like you're at home. And for some people, it might be living on a boat or traveling and being in a new country every month or so. So transforming, committing to something that makes you happy is also seen here. With the trine to Jupiter in the 8th, you might be investing into your mental health and healing wounds, working with a therapist. The last time we've had North Node in Pisces would have been in 2006, 2007. So do reflect on that and take a look at September 2024 when we had the first out of 3 lunar eclipses in Pisces. This is the second one. There's another one coming up in August 2026. So it feels like cleansing space, right, in your head and your heart to welcome new beginnings, to start your own family as maybe you mourn your childhood or something like that, or cleanse space in your home as you sell it or pack things up as you move. Could be very interesting. There is an opposition to Mercury and Virgo in the 10th, so your living situation might be at odds with your professional life and professional dreams, or maybe even someone at work putting a lot of pressure on you. Trust your intuition. There's definitely a lovely energy that comes from that trine to Jupiter in the 8th house, and believe that things will work themselves out. If you're looking to create comfort in your life by speaking the language of astrology, join my Natal Astrology Blueprint of the Soul course. It begins on September 6th, and it will be a priceless opportunity to discover yourself, improve your relationships, and create a happier, more fulfilled life. You can register on my website. You can also book a personal reading on there. If you are a Capricorn rising, there's a lunar eclipse in your 3rd house. This might suggest a completion of a writing project or a course of study, an exam, graduation, a transformation from a student into a business owner, a change in the relationship with a sibling, neighbor. Maybe you've been going through a rough patch and you make up, or maybe you've been planning to start a business together and you actually do. The ruler of the eclipse is Jupiter in Cancer, and the eclipse also trines Jupiter in Cancer in your 7th house. And 7th house brings the energy of partnerships, relationships, commitments, business. So it does feel like a lovely opportunity to maybe connect with your dreams and your skills and your talents and express yourself through writing, through communication, through offering your knowledge to your community. It could also bring a change to your everyday life. Something is transforming with your schedule. Maybe you're opening space to spend more time with people in your life, and letting go of some things on your to-do list, on your agenda, in order to prioritize play and exploration, writing, creativity. If I haven't said that yet, take a look back at 2006, 2007, which is the last time we've had North Node in Pisces, and September 2024, when we had the first of the Pisces eclipses. This is the second. The third and last one will be in August 2026. There's also an opposition to Mercury in the 9th house. So there may be some beliefs or some critical, analytical, perfectionist nature, or people, teachers, gurus, guides that make you feel like your dreams are small or not fully formed and things like that. So maybe there's some more fledgling, is that the right word? Some more, perfecting you can do, but ultimately this eclipse is about taking a leap and trusting and like letting go of the doubts and actually believing that the universe has your back. If you're ready to take your astrological love to the next level, join me at my Natal Astrology Blueprint of the Soul course. It begins September 6th. And in 3 months, you will learn how to read charts, how to discover your true karmic purpose, and to improve your relationships by understanding people in your life. Register at anastasiadoesastrology.com. You can also book a reading on there or pick up one of my lovely Moon in Cancer Exalted Moon candles. If you are an Aquarius rising, there's a lunar eclipse in your 2nd house. So here we're looking at your house of personal finances and values. And you are maybe finishing some kind of financial chapter, right? Setting up a 401k, or paying off a debt, or asking for a promotion, or working on being financially independent, right? Committing to a business or something like that, like investing in yourself and also connecting with your true priorities and values. And they could be very spiritual. There may be a desire to make money creatively or make money through learning astrology. I am teaching a course, by the way, on September 6th. It begins, and it's called Natal Astrology Blueprint of the Soul. You can still register. But whatever it is, there is this invitation to invest into it, right? And maybe with the lunar eclipse, you're actually reorganizing your finances, or you're paying off some debts, or you're closing some chapters, maybe even letting go of a job if you feel tired of it in order to commit to something better. The ruler of the eclipse is Jupiter in your 6th house. The eclipse is also trining Jupiter in the 6th house. So it's very, very professionally oriented. And Jupiter in the 6th also might indicate that you're becoming more interested in health and nutrition and diet, or animals and helping animals, right? So something important, I think, is highlighted by this eclipse. The last time we've had North Node in Pisces, South Node in Virgo would have been in 2006, 2007. Do you remember what was happening in your life around that time? And you can also reflect on the first lunar eclipse in September 2024, because this is the follow-up to that, and then we'll have the final beat of the story in August 2026. But welcome this as an opportunity to rethink your priorities, and maybe welcome new values that are not necessarily material, right? And maybe more spiritual, because there is an opposition between the eclipse and Mercury in Virgo. And Mercury in Virgo like really wants to control things, and the eclipse is inviting you to be more open to receive, to like, instead of clenching and grasping, maybe open your hand and set something afloat so that the space opens up, so that you can actually get something new. And if this something new is you doing astrology, you practicing astrology, or learning astrology, register for my course. Begins September 6th, like I said. And you can register at anastasiadoesastrology.com. You can also book a reading on there and pick up any of my lovely candles. Last but not least, the lovely Pisces rising. The lunar eclipse is happening in your 1st house, your house of physical body, your house of style, your identity, your image, your personality. So we've had the first eclipse of the series in September 2024. This is the second one, and we'll have one more in August 2026. And of course, Saturn has also been in your 1st house since March 2023. How has it beaten you into shape? What kind of realizations did you face? What kind of new beginnings did Saturn introduce into your life? So the full moon lunar eclipse in your 1st house might suggest a change when it comes to your health. So if you've been dealing with some kind of health problem, maybe you're getting over it, maybe you're transforming your diet, your exercise routine, you're committing to being the better version of yourself, you're sort of releasing the old image of yourself and welcoming a new one. The lunar eclipse is definitely about saying goodbye to something, but I see this as saying goodbye to things and closing things. Again, letting go of bad habit, or moving, or changing jobs, right? In order to open space. You're opening space. The ruler is Jupiter in the 5th. The eclipse also trines this Jupiter in the 5th. So there is supportive energy, and Jupiter is in your house of joy, in your house of pleasure, in a deeply, deeply personal house. And it's calling you to commit to something that is joyful, that is fun, that is exciting. And so what do you need to change in your life? If you are the one stirring the pot, if you're the one directing the boat, where do you need to go? And of course, it may suggest that there is a little bit of crisis. There may be a little bit of friction between what you want to do and what is seemingly necessary for your relationship. With Mercury being in the 7th house, you're maybe very focused on like making things be perfect and, you know, moving the relationship a certain way, or a business a certain way, or just even having this idea that everything needs to be figured out and organized and structured. Because even though you are a dreamy Pisces rising, your 7th house, which is your shadow self, the opposite self, the part of you that's lurking in shadows but still quite strongly showing up in relationships, is very perfectionist and very analytical. And so finding balance between having the data and having the plan and actually trusting. And so with this eclipse, I would really urge you to trust that you can become the happy, the joyful, the creative, the fulfilled, the romantic version of yourself that you would like. For some, there could be also changes connected to pregnancy or a child being born, or something is changing in the life of your child. Creative fulfillment definitely feels like some kind of course correction for you guys. Please share how this resonates. Do you remember what was happening in your life in 2006, 2007, the last time North Node was in Pisces? And then if you remember last September, did anything important pop up? Please share. If you're ready to learn more, if you want to commit to yourself and self-understanding, register for my Natal Astrology Blueprint of the Soul course. Begins September 6th, so close. And it will teach you how to read natal charts, how to discover your inner truth, welcome confidence, and find empowerment in your life and in your relationships. Register on my website, book a reading if you'd like, and highly recommend my Moon in Cancer 3 candle for emotional ease and stability as we move through this eclipse season. So thank you so much for being here. Again, if you're new, hopefully you enjoyed it. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do. Leave me a comment, a like, anything your heart desires, and I will see you very soon. Let's enjoy this eclipse season and let's see what it has to teach us. Bye for now.